Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, and today we got the second sneak peek for the upcoming update, and it's pretty much confirmed now that it's going to revolve in some way around the Mercs for Money, and more specifically, Domino's Mercs for Money. So right off the bat, without even showing you guys the teaser, if you want to go out and find comics or buy comics related to that to find out more about these characters, more about the storyline, I absolutely encourage you to do so. And now let's get into exactly what it is. So on Netmarble, we got this teaser here, number 2. I've received reports that deep in the forests of the Congo, there is a wild animal capable of wielding firearms. We're not talking about Rocket Raccoon. Since I know that this could not be no ordinary creature, I went to Africa to see for myself. An intelligent wild animal with a gun, and we see the gun here, and we see a very suspicious and very telling banana peel. Arriving at the location where this wild animal was last spotted, I found only banana peels and guns scattered all over the place. What sort of creature is capable of using guns and enjoys eating so many bananas? Now, if you check out the Mercs for Money, there's actually 2 animals that could possibly eat bananas that are part of the Mercs for Money. There's Gorilla Man, not making up that name, and there is also Hitmonkey, also not making up that name. Now I want to now fly over to Twitter where there's a little bit more information. So over on Twitter we get the following. Oh no, there we go. Over on Twitter we get the following: being an ally to both the Avengers and Agents of Atlas, this primal soldier of fortune will serve as a vital asset to the team. And then over at Danny Koo said, who left this banana on the course? This old school soldier just recently resurfaced in the comics. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff here that I want to explain that Danny Koo and the Marvel Future Fight team are hinting at. So Primal Soldier of Fortune is definitely referring to Gorilla Man. Gorilla Man is this guy. He's a gorilla, but he was a man, and he basically, he was at war somewhere, and he was scared of dying, as far as the Wikipedia page tells me, because honestly I don't know anything about this character, and so he followed this sort of myth that if you killed the Gorilla Man in the jungle, you would become immortal, and he does, and he basically becomes the Gorilla Man, and he also becomes immortal, and he gets some other powers related to like super strength and stuff like that related to being a gorilla, but he's also like super smart, and he's a bit of a scientist. He can still talk as a human and stuff like that. So that's the interesting thing, and we can see here that Gorilla Man is right on the left of this image. This is the this is Domino's Mercs for Money. Deadpool's over there. So I'll introduce everybody in case you're unfamiliar. Of course, we have the very curvaceous Domino right in the middle. We have Negasonic Teenage Warhead looking exactly like she does in the first sneak peek, with the folded up shirt and the sort of collar and the belt thing around her waist. We have now Gorilla Man, who's been introduced here. So we have 2 members introduced. Of course, Deadpool and Domino are already in the game. And then we have Hitmonkey there, who could be introduced as well. We have Machine Man, who could also be introduced. He's pretty cool in the comics. He's kind of funny, kind of like a rude version of Inspector Gadget. And then we've got Massacre over here. Now, Massacre is also in Marvel Contest of Champions right now, but he looks a little bit different. But this is Massacre, and he's just like, not Deadpool, but yeah, he's Massacre. Anyways, you can look up more about him. I honestly don't know that much about him either, but I do know quite a bit about, well, this. So what I also want to show you guys, which I think is really cool and hints to what Danny Koo is talking about, is that Gorilla Man ends up meeting and talking to Black Panther. And this is really cool in the comics. And although Gorilla Man does also have connections to the Agents of Atlas, as Danny Koo pointed out, or sorry, not, yeah, no, the Marvel Future Fight said Agents of Atlas. Gorilla Man also is connected to Agents of Wakanda. So when Black Panther, more recently in the comic books, he becomes kind of like the new head of the Avengers, or part of the Avengers, he wants to create a special task force to support the Avengers. And so he creates this task force with Okoye at the lead, and she recruits new members, including Wasp and including Gorilla Man. And there's other characters as well, but they're like super like Z tier list characters, even more unknown than Gorilla Man. So this is something really cool, and this really echoes a lot of what we saw in the last update, where we thought it was going to be just an Agents of Atlas update, and they hint at Agents of Atlas here, but then there's also a connection to core Marvel characters, like we're talking, you know, the OG Marvel characters, a la Black Panther, a la Wasp, and then the possibility of getting a new character who should have been in the game since Infinity War in Okoye. So my money is that Netmarble and Marvel Future Fight are putting together a sort of Mercs for Money / Agents of Wakanda update. And my guess is that they're going to be giving Tier 3 to either, this is all my guess, my speculation, but I'm guessing they're going to give Tier 3 to Domino, or they might possibly give Tier 3 to another character, maybe Gorilla Man or Negasonic Teenage Warhead, but my guess would be Domino. They're going to introduce 3 new characters, Okoye, Gorilla Man, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and they're going to give new uniforms or some sort of rework and buff to both Black Panther and Wasp. I think this would be a really cool way to take characters that are new, to take characters that are not really that well known in the comics, just like they did last update with Swordmaster, Arrow, and combine them with existing characters and existing storylines and existing comics that are very popular, like, you know, Black Panther, Okoye, Wasp, and these sorts of OG characters, and you know what, even Domino to an extent. And I do see a lot of people in the community that are also excited about the possibility of Deadpool getting a new uniform. I honestly don't think he needs a new uniform, but these are my speculation, these are my thoughts, and this is what I think is going to happen for the update. But at least for right now, we can guarantee, based on the sneak peek, that we're getting 2 new characters, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who's probably going to be Blast, but could be Speed or Combat, and then Gorilla Man, who's almost guaranteed to be Combat. And so it leaves us in a really interesting position. On the one hand, I think a lot of people, I think their first reaction was something like this. We getting that there monkey? What are you talking about, Netmarble? What are you saying? We got Gorilla Man. What is this? What is Marvel Zoo Fight? What are you talking about? Come on, Netmarble. We don't need no Gorilla Man. This ain't no Gorillas ain't Marvel characters. It's that Gorilla Grind. That's DC, brother. So I definitely can you know, I can relate on some level to that initial reaction of we're getting a character that's literally a gorilla. And although he does have his basis in Marvel Comics, but it doesn't really matter, because with 203 plus characters, getting Gorilla Man is shocking. And whenever we get new characters, and whenever they're not, you know, super classic characters, I think some people have that reaction. We're getting Gorilla Man instead of Professor X. We're getting Gorilla Man instead of Spider-Woman. We're getting Gorilla Man instead of, and then they list off other, you know, Omega Red, Mr. Sinister, so on and so forth. So I understand that point of view, and I don't entirely disagree with people like that who think that, but ultimately, every update's going to have new characters. So it really doesn't matter, you know, sooner or later we will get everyone. I have been playing this game for a long ass time, and I remember the time when there was no way we thought we were ever going to get Deadpool. I remember a time when we didn't even have mutants in the game. And lo and behold, slowly but surely, we got every single character that we could have wanted, and so many more. And I personally had a pretty bad reaction at first when I saw the Infinity Warps characters. I was like, what the hell is this? We don't need this crap. But I love the Infinity Warps characters. Now, you know, Arachnite's not that strong, but I built him up. I really like Ghost Panther. I think he's a great character. Everybody loves Weapon Hex. She's awesome. So I think that before anyone passes judgment on this update, we should absolutely see what it is that's coming. But I also want to say this. On the one hand, I think it's fantastic that the Marvel Future Fight developers are working so hard to bring us, if indeed my suggestions and my speculation is true, it's wonderful that the Marvel Future Fight devs are working so hard to bring us these sort of multi-layered updates where you have, you know, new characters being introduced and new characters being reinforced and getting new looks, but you also have really important callbacks to classic characters and uniforms to buff classic existing characters, like the buff to Rogue, like the buff to Vision, Sabretooth, etc. from the last update. So, you know, getting a rework, getting an update for Black Panther would be huge, because he deserves it and he's been terrible, and we don't want to wait until Black Panther 2 for him to get a rework. Same thing for Wasp. She deserves better. She should be stronger. And I welcome all of these characters. But on the flip side, I do have to say this, Marvel Future Fight. At the end of 2019, we have over 200 characters. It really doesn't matter who you're adding to the game at this point, whether it's Gorilla Man, Psycho Man, Mr. Man, Wonder Man, Miracle Man. It doesn't matter who you're adding. Every update needs to have some consideration for game modes at this point, I think. With the game coming up on 5 years old, I think more effort needs to be put in to address existing game modes that have not been changed at all in years, and it also needs to there also needs to be something done for endgame. There's not enough endgame in Marvel Future Fight. There's not enough endgame content to keep players happy. Players can get in and get out, i.e. they get in and they do all of their daily tasks in, you know, half an hour. And then there's really just Giant Boss Raid, World Boss Invasion, and Danger Room to keep playing over and over again. And those game modes are fun, and those game modes are multiplayer, and we like them, but we need a little bit more. We need a little bit more. We're coming up on 2 years since World Boss Ultimate was first introduced. Time's ticking. So I don't want to. I'm not one of those players that's going to react negatively to sort of lesser known new characters. Every update's going to have new characters. I want to embrace the new characters, whether they are brand new characters that were just invented for Marvel, whether they are original characters, whether they are characters with lots of history that have just been left behind and not really had comics made about them for a long time, like Gorilla Man or whatever. It doesn't really matter to me where the characters are coming from and what their history is, whether it's a long history or a short history. But what matters to me is that I actually have somewhere to play these characters. You know, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Gorilla Man. I want to be able to use these characters in more content than just Shadowland. It really doesn't cut it that Shadowland is the only game mode where we can actually use these characters. And it really doesn't cut it that game modes like Timeline Battle, Alliance Tournament, Alliance Conquest, all of these game modes have not been fixed, buffed, changed, or anything in literally years. So I really think that needs to be Marvel Future Fight's top priority at this point. Bringing new characters is nice. It brings in money for the game. I understand it's easy to monetize, and it's sort of the backbone of the game is having your selection and your pick of everyone that you want to play with. But remember, we need somewhere to play these characters in. We need some content for these characters. Danger Room is not really content for new characters because you can only play as tier 3 characters, right? So we need a rework or a new game mode for all characters. Hopefully, Marvel Future Fight is listening. I have full faith in them, and I think that they're going to pull it off. And I think that they're gonna, make another bang up, home run update, just like the last update was excellent when all the dust settled. But I just wanted to make that clear because on the one hand, I can relate to players who are like, Gorilla Man, we don't need that. But I don't relate to them in the sense that I want to trade these characters for other characters. I don't want to trade characters. I want all the characters to come to the game, but I just want more places to use all of the characters so it doesn't just feel like most of the characters are just collecting dust on the shelf. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think of Gorilla Man, Domino's Mercs for Money. Who's getting a tier 3? What do you think of my speculation? Do you like Agents of Wakanda? Have you read it? Hit me up. Let's talk about it. Let's be positive. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.